I call this Seaside School District Board of Directors work session to order. Agenda review. Have we all had a chance to read the agenda? Yes. Do we need to approve this agenda? No, we just
We don't
move
do
on.
any-
We don't do anything.
No,
We're just a work
It's
session.
just us working.
Okay,
No action can happen.
okay. So it looks like we're gonna start with our superintendent advisory committees. And we need to make some changes to that.
Yes,
Find some people.
so, what you'll see here on the second page is, the goals that were adopted in, 2024-25. But, down below there are the board advisory committees. And, these are the folks who, each of our board members is assigned to a committee. And we have three different ones, and then the board chair is not on a committee because the board chair meets with
Yeah,
me.
no.
Meets with me once a month, at least.
Just wait. Just kidding. I'm kidding.
Right. So I guess, it would be good to know if folks who are, currently on committees, if they want to stay on those committees or if they'd like to be on another one. And then also because, Shannon is board chair, then, we would need somebody to take her spot on performance monitoring.
I'd go there.
Yeah, I think that would be a good choice.
I will speak for Sandra. She did want to stay on the community stakeholder relations because she really liked the work she was doing with the.
With the foundation, I think
So-
she's,
Yes.
So I think that she had texted that to me, so.
okay.
And I did enjoy the strategic and operational planning budget development committee,
Great,
so it'd stay on there.
great.
Because we have to switch out Chris Quarter.
Yes, so that means that,
Just a vacancy.
that okay, so Chuck, if you're on the performance monitoring, that means that we have an opening on the strategic and operational planning budget development as well as community stakeholder relations. And with community stakeholder relations, that's the work we've been focusing on with starting our education foundation to raise funds for a performing arts center.
What do you want to do, Jason? What looks good to you?
I think you put me on the budget before.
Well, yeah, but we did because we were just like, oh, this. Looks good.
I feel stereotypes. It's looking a little fluid. I think you move around here if you want.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's great. I'll be happy.
whichever one you'd like to do. And
The
I'll fill in the gap.
strategy one would be great.
The
Strategic and
operational
operational
planning.
planning, budget development.
I haven't-
So
I haven't
that-
talked to her unless-
That puts me community stakeholder relations.
That puts you there.
Okay.
That's you, Brian.
I'd be happy to be part of any committee. I've been on committee in 4 years, so it's
Okay, I
Have
feel
a
like
committee.
these are,
whatever
Okay.
committee work we got, and I wanna step up.
I really like the committee.
Yeah. And so for those of you who are new, we meet once a month. Next month, I'll send out some information and get information from you on when's a good time to meet. We usually try to have the standing meeting, like it's the third Thursday or whatever, just so, and I'm flexible to meet with you when you're available, whether it's in the morning or the afternoon, so. I'll be reaching out to you about that.
And what about if we're not available? I mean, we're like on.
Sure. Then what I usually do is connect with you after you get back on what we talked about. All right.
All right, over that, one thing
okay,
down.
one thing down. Next is board goals. But for 2024-2025. We had. Some specific goals for the individual committees and then also along just general board goals. We need to work on updating those.
Yeah, so it would be interesting to, to hear from all of you if you would prefer to continue to have goals for the specific committees, or if there are goals that you'd like to set as a general board.
If I can just
Mhm.
note that the committees are advisory committees to the superintendent. Because they're advisory committees to the superintendent, they don't have to be held in public session, because you're advising the superintendent, you're not advising the board. So I think if the committees want to sort of come up with ideas for goals, it would just need to be discussion with the full board on whether the full board felt those were. Because the advisory committees can't make a decision for the board.
So they could have a kind of a goal for themselves in the committees,
Certainly, yes.
right? This is what
You
we're
guys,
doing, but
in
not
your
necessarily.
committee meetings, you can talk all you want about your goals for your committee.
And we're not a quorum. I noticed there's only a couple of us.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right, but they bring that to the board and say, hey, this is what we're gonna do. We want your
Right.
backing, we want your resources and.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
if you want
We
to
get
make
approved.
that. a
Right.
board-
The board is
a
like-
goal.
We're all jumping together.
We're all on.
Okay.
Yep.
So I think that can be discussed in the individual committee meetings.
Mhm.
Right, people, your committee, and then bring it to the board.
Okay, so what you're, just to make sure I hear it, is that we are gonna meet in committees. Develop a board goal
Goal for your committee that you're gonna bring to the board.
for approval.
That will become a board goal, I mean,
No.
your committee can have all the
All the
goals at
goals at
once.
once. We're talking about
It's
board
just
goals.
an advisory committee.
Yeah,
that's
right,
ten.
right.
Oh, so,
But the-
We need to come up with
tonight
board
we're talking
goals.
About boards.
Yes.
To
Yeah,
know
yeah.
broader board.
Right,
Ah,
that
okay,
may or may not be related to your committee work.
okay.
so like, one of our goals in the past has been education. Right, so we've
It's a good goal.
done. You know, and it's been at least a year. We didn't do it last year because we had the same kind of group. It's like, okay, we've got this education, but I think bringing education. Since we got, 3 new board members, I know Kat's been, 6 months, right?
You're talking board development,
Board development,
yes.
correct,
Board training.
board training, board development, so I think that we need to think about as one of our goals. To train each of us, right? I love training, I've been, it's been 12 years, but I still. Get a lot out of the trainings that we do. So I think that maybe let's think about possibly setting, one of our goals is to do board development. We do it once every, 3 months.
And if you look, Leslie attached the priorities for 23-24
Yeah.
here, and that was what, priority number 2 was board training. Yep.
Yeah, so these were kind of the goals. Was this 2 years ago? So development of a comprehensive plan for our school district property that includes both current and future land use and capital improvement priorities. Board training and integration of our current strategic plan. Anyone have any comments on these, or, I mean, it's hard when you're just joining the board to think of.
Well, I think that along the lines of education and awareness is. What have you guys been up to? Like, I think catching up. Of understanding like what efforts have gone into establishing a school district foundation, that's fantastic, and. Seeing what you guys have been working on and understanding it a little bit better would be very helpful from an education standpoint, just so we can catch up a little bit, and I don't think that there's not a lot there, would take a lot. Not asking for a lot in that regard, but knowing kind of what is already in flight would be very helpful, out of the gates, so.
One thing.
Even
that
if it's a PowerPoint off the shelf.
Yeah,
like,
one thing that was discussed a couple years ago when we had our board trainings with Kristen Miles was that the board expressed interest in the portrait of a graduate.
Oh, that's right.
And that is a separate training besides the basics training, and a lot of districts do that. They say, okay, you know what comprehensively do our students when they graduate need to have?
Yeah.
And that portrait of a graduate, and I know that OSBA can do that training, and I bring that up because that was something that you guys were all interested in.
I still think that would be valuable, to get an idea of what each student should look like. when they leave here or preparing to become adults. But what does that mean? That's a training, so we just,
It's a training on
little bit.
how you as a board can do outreach in order to develop. You know, Portrait of a Graduate is, I mean, it's not a strategic plan, but in a way, it's an engagement process to hear from students, to hear from families, to hear from staff.
Yeah.
All about what, you know, how we as a board in the school district come forward with, hey, these are all the things that we need to provide for students so that they are ready for their next phase in life.
Yeah, and assuming, I mean, going back to the strategic plan of improving those graduation rates by 2028,
Mhm.
we should probably know what the portrait of a graduate is expected to look like in 2028.
Right,
And then match our efforts accordingly. I think that's great.
I would put that as that portrait of a graduate training. I would personally think that would be a great goal to have, to get that done.
I like that goal. That'd be our development goal, right? Right,
Seems like it would be a subsection.
right, but, well, yeah, right. But it's a piece to the development of us as board members, along with, you know, what we're expecting.
And it's a process, you know, the initial training is for you to learn about what that process is, but then it's also implementing the process.
Yeah.
Do we need to be that specific or granular to our goals?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I think it's a great goal, but I just didn't know if we needed to define our other goals to be as that specific.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I think you can say, you know, that board trainings are a priority and that you'll, you know, that's one of your, is to continue the board training. Mhm, I like that.
I see nothing I disagree with. It's good.
So like the year before, we had one about the comprehensive plan for our school district property, and they were really focused on like capital improvements, you know, what is it now that we've built this school? How are we gonna keep it great or improve it? Do we feel like we need to continue with that goal? We get improve it.
We've got an advisory committee that's still working
Mhm.
part of that.
And I think that we've done parts of that, you know, like, right now, Kat, you know, we've been working on determining the location for the new Performing
Right.
Arts Center.
Mhm.
And, you know, we've talked about, you know, we've added the trail and we've added the disc golf and all of those other things, but we still kind of haven't gotten to the process where we do a really concerted effort. Okay, here's our available buildable land, you know, and thinking more long-term about what we want to prioritize.
I do like the goal of long term. So, you know, what does the long term look like? Not sure, but I do like it as a goal.
Yeah.
So, are you talking about like future projects or, as far as a campus plan? Sure, I think.
Those go hand in hand. Mhm. I mean, if you have a plan, I don't know,
Right,
then you'd have projects that go
Yeah,
into that
right.
plan. Mhm.
I mean, I'm good with continuing this goal.
No matter what,
Right,
yeah. I mean,
personally, like it.
And number two, I think we could add in the portrait of the graduate.
Yep,
And then we put in there the integration of our district strategic plan.
I mean, this is our first year, right? So we don't have to be perfect. So by next year,
Right.
once we've really delved into the board. Day to day.
Goals, we can change them.
Yeah, we can change them.
No, only perfect.
yeah. This is kind of a working document. right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Always good. So does anyone want to add anything?
Right, it can change a little bit.
I think that the,
Wanna add?
in there about like, again, anchor on. It was strategic plan that now goes through 2028.
Right,
Everything should roll up to that. So on the top piece of it there, the Seaside School. I want another S, but sustainability like project, right? You build a beautiful school. Lot of other land, a lot of other projects. Are we looking at what we want it to look like in 5 years, 3 years? How do we get there? Right? And then put those capital projects that I'm sure you're already working on, that you're already aware of what we have to expend, and then what else do we want to add to it? resource staff put efforts into, to show that. So I think that rolls up into one. And I think that's a great, like, it aligns with everything else. So, yeah, I think that looks great.
Yeah, and we only have so much buildable land up here.
Right. Well, it's, maybe it's just like,
Yeah.
it's just maintenance too, right?
Yeah.
Like, what do we wanna do with something,
Right, right.
right? Like that's it. Is it supposed to look like that? Is it not supposed to look like that? What's it
Well,
look like?
and what
Yeah, I'm gonna
resources do we need to,
100%.
either increase, or, I mean, this piece of property is a lot more to maintain than what we had
Yeah.
in the past.
Pave it, like, you know what I mean? No.
So,
Well,
yeah,
We don't want to be big pillars.
I think that will be really great for the group to.
I'd like to see making sure we are having our community outreach items, right? So just brainstorming here, but something where we are talking more about our like our progress in our foundation, our progress in our performing arts center, our progress. So we go out, you know, like Susan has done coffee with the superintendent, right? So, but maybe do some engagement items where, hey, the board comes together, we're gonna do coffee at the school, or we're gonna have something going on, we're gonna go up to the top area here and look at the property a little bit, just to get people up there, get there, you know, get the boots on the ground, the vision, something like that. I'm just kind of brainstorming is what could we set as a goal for community engagement pieces?
Yeah, you're talking about like each of these, is there like, what do we want to support these respective like like, you have them listed as performance indicators, right? Like, who's part of that? Is there always a union representative, a student representative, a student panel, student group, a board representative? Like, what should be a part of each of those sub initiatives to kind of like carry those forward? Is that what you're,
Yeah,
I think it's.
cause I'm looking at, so I just kind of look at our committees, right? What are
Right.
these things? What are, you know, what's a good way to get a goal in that involves, you know, some committee work that can be done, but mainly the main portion of the board. You know, so it's like last year, my goal as the board chair was to do some outreach and get people information on being part of the school. Right? And so we did, I think we did 2 events. I did 2 out of the 3, some weather or whatever, something happened. I couldn't get in the seaside, but just doing something like that, where we bring people in, communicate what we're doing, you know, get the information out there. You know, setting some kind of goal like that, as far as just community engagement, right?
Awareness.
Because there's a lot of people out there, it's like, well, nobody ever comes talk to me, right? It's like, well, we'll put stuff out there, go out there, you know, get out in the public a little more. Something of that, that's kind of what I'm thinking on another goal of ours, is to get a little more out into the public, just a little bit more.
I do like that. We could tack on, having more engagement at our meetings. Cause like even today, we didn't have anyone that joined, which might be a little bit more harder goal to reach.
Yeah.
But I do like the idea of.
Yeah,
Well, there's not always a July meeting,
yeah,
only when it's an election.
yeah.
Do you go to the, city council meetings? Do you read out on those very often?
I do go to those, and I also go to the family meetings every week.
Yeah.
I really like this idea, Brian, because for instance, I send out messages to families on Parent Square, which you guys get, and the principals do the same thing. I remember Kat saying, I think it was last month, about, like having a newsletter. Because people, some people prefer Parent Square, some people prefer, text or, whatever. But I think showcasing the work we've done is really
Yeah.
important. For instance, the emergency management supplies that
Mhm.
that we're putting in this summer. To be, hey, come and, the board will be hosting, come and take a look at these and see what we've prepared for our community. I think,
Cause there's still members of the community who haven't been up here,
Right.
who wanna come up here. That's where,
I had not toured this building until Leslie took me around.
Yeah.
I hadn't been in here,
Yeah.
other than to come here for the candidate forum and sit in on a school board meeting. I hadn't been in here. I
yeah,
don't know why,
I was
other
gonna
than when
say that-
I left.
Dog.
I had spent a lifetime in a gym. And it was like, I don't wanna go back, and it took a while.
Yeah.
And I wanna be back now.
Yeah.
But I needed to separate.
Yeah, but I think that's one of these things is getting people up here who like, who have separated themselves from the schools, which, it's, we deal with 1/3 of the community, right? I mean, people that have kids.
And frankly, to come watch a
Right.
ball game is interesting, but it's much, much more interesting if you're invested in knowing
Well,
the
yeah,
players.
right.
And if you don't really know them, it's like
Yeah.
a high school game anywhere on the planet.
Yeah, I was impressed when we had our grand opening for this building and how many people who don't have kids in the school came to that. Because, they wanted to see that. But that was a while ago. And I'm sure there's, new
Yeah.
people who don't have kids in the school who would love to come up and see
Well,
it.
Yeah.
there's some online groups too that I wouldn't unilaterally as a board member post things. But if we're talking about getting the word out about something that we want posted, there's some online groups
Yeah.
that Seaside Retirees is an
Yeah.
online group.
And if we're trying to get people information about
Social
what we're
media.
trying to do up here, right? Performing arts, taking care of the building, right? And those things get the people up here to see that, and maybe those people don't have the kids, and maybe they have a little extra money they wanna, throw our way.
So you're saying we should start doing TikToks, like, to get the word out and.
Well, you know how. Is that your goal? Is that more TikTok? Is that-
We should have a TikTok board meeting.
How long do you? how
Well,
long do
I
TikTok?
have people in the community come to my coffee with the superintendent who don't have kids in school. I've had quite a few people come to that because people will get their parents square and then they'll share it out to other people. So,
Yeah,
Okay.
we can come out in places.
So, how are we looking?
Well, we're keeping I think do we need to add a separate one about a community engagement? Or is that a subplot for all the other ones?
Well, I think that, sorry, I jumped.
No,
No,
go
go
ahead.
ahead. Go ahead. What do you think?
I think communication becomes number one, and the development of the Seaside School District Foundation is a subcategory of that. Right, like that,
Yeah.
that's a
What has
subcategory
been-
of community.
So it's been developed. And now they have a board, right, Susan?
yep, we do. We have our.
So the foundation has a board.
Nice.
So that goal it's been developed. So that goal
Drive someone on.
that goal has been complete. So I think
Oh, yeah.
that's where I'm
I think it's community outreach.
more of the community outreach.
Yeah,
Maybe number one.
Get the information out here that, what we're doing up here is
Mhm.
awesome. You should be part of it.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I'm,
Well, you have to take away those reasons why, right?
Yeah.
Saying, well, I didn't know that.
yeah, that's what I'm just trying to, right,
Where you've got the first one and the second
knock on
one.
the doors.
And then what I think I hear from people is that the third one is to develop or increase engagement activities for the community that showcase what we're doing.
Or board presence, increase board presence, in the community.
Yeah, and I think, and I wanna at least do something up here. I wanna put that in our goals is that we wanna, as a board, invite the community up here as us presenting what we're doing.
And what those specifically look like, and like you said.
We can make
developed
that,
in
we
the
can figure out what we
community
wanna
stakeholder.
showcase later,
Yeah.
right? But I wanna kind of put it out there that, bring people to my house and show them how cool it is.
So would that be like something we would revisit on a monthly basis?
Yeah, so.
like the details of.
Part of it, I think Sandra and I would kind of hammer out a few, because it'd be the community stakeholder relations. We'd probably hammer out some things and get approval, and bring it to the board and get approval. To move forward on some things.
Just a thought that you can kind of use or discard. But if you can find some excited students about some things going on and involve them in that sells a lot. And people are less likely to be critical when you've got students there, because they don't want to stomp on their enthusiasm.
Human
They might
shield.
stomp on yours, but they don't want to stomp on theirs.
Love it. 100%.
That is true.
So in the notes that I have, just to summarize for the moment, is, to keep pretty much the exact goal of development of a comprehensive plan for a school district property that includes both current and future land use and capital improvement projects. I
Yeah,
think that's what I heard.
that includes the Performing Arts Center.
And then, continuing board development, including specifically doing portrait of a graduate this year. And then, don't have the wording quite there, but community outreach engagement with at least one significant event on campus for the community this year.
That's good, Leslie.
Nice.
We won't be adopting any goals tonight. That'll happen at the next regular meeting.
Okay,
So, you know, Shannon, you and Susan, based on notes, can refine, you know, a goals document that to bring back to the whole board next month for adoption.
sounds good to me.
Right, because this is a work
Yeah,
session.
the work
where we
session,
can't-
we're not gonna make
Yeah,
any
she does.
decisions.
So the last one is that's man, as outlined by the Department of Education and Assurances,
Those might be Susan's goals.
Yeah,
Oh, this is.
yeah,
your
we're
proposed.
on,
Yeah, we
we're
haven't
looking
gotten
at
that
page
yet.
4.
On page 5. Sorry.
No, you're good.
Oh, got it.
That's next on the agenda.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, so Shannon and I will get together and kind of wordsmith these and
Yeah.
present them to you at the next meeting.
I'm excited.
Send us an email if you have any other, that's a long. Right, superintendent goals.
All right, so the goals that I am proposing for 2025-26. Continue to develop the Seaside School District Foundation. And I'm in the process right now of developing the bylaws. We're gonna have a meeting next month with this 7-member board, and then, of course, a big part of this goal for me to be working with that foundation board is to really clarify what our fundraising efforts are. The second one, development and implement a plan to increase district-wide attendance. I think this is a very high priority. We've already started in June, had a retreat, 2-day retreat with the leadership team. And we worked to really on one day to really prioritize, look at our data for attendance and really be able to dig into that. For those of you who've you know, been in the district for a while, pre-COVID, the state really put out the you know, attendance matters, and you know, it really needs to be a big campaign for everybody involved in a student's attendance. So I already have, we do have an attendance specialist at the ESD named Whitney, and I already have her scheduled to come and work with the leadership team in August to really be able to you know, develop our plan for improving the attendance. And, you know, as we've talked about earlier, you know, I have the performance indicators there. We already have staff signed up to go to this BASIS training, which is in town here. So anyway, those are the performance indicators for that. And then for the third one, develop and implement a district-wide equity advisory committee as outlined by the Oregon Department of Education Division 22 assurances. This is really good timing for us because, as I shared, we did the equity audit this past year. And then all districts by September 15th are required to have an equity advisory committee to advise the board. And we already have 7 people who have filled out the form that they want to be on the committee, a couple of staff members, 4 parents, 1 student, and we'll continue to recruit people for that.
How many people are you trying to get on this?
Oh, it would be nice to have somewhere between 8 and 10. I'd really like to have more students on it. So, you know, and we may not be able to recruit students, you know, until they come back.
Cool, yeah.
But think this is really moving in the right direction, and because of the audit, we really we have that information to be able to share with the advisory committee.
Did the state provide any resources for that?
No,
So nice.
unfunded mandate.
Oh,
Well,
God.
at least if they do it, then the federal government can't take it away.
It's true.
Remember when they did the
They might try.
the PE one where it was like kids were required to have so many hours
Mhm,
and then they give them 10 years to implement it with an unfunded mandate.
mhm.
That
And
was-
we are meeting those
that's good.
PE,
Yes,
those PE minutes, but there's a lot of districts that still are not.
no,
What's a PE hours? Oh, literally physical education.
Yeah.
Literally.
Physical education, yes, and,
Yep.
at each of the three different levels, there's a minimum number and, you know, we worked with them to develop a plan, but there's a lot of districts that still, you know, like they don't have the space for it or if that one's a challenge. Anyway,
And then,
those are my three goals I'm presenting to you today.
sorry, I just had to clarify.
You're good.
So you're gonna present with the audit results recommendations at the next meeting?
Either in August or September.
Okay. And what is the expected outcomes over that the Oregon Department of Education is wanting us to do with this equity committee? Like, what are we trying?
Yeah,
trying to
they have some specific requirements that we have an advisory committee that is made up of at least some parents, some staff, some students. And some community members to be able, to work together and that we have a diverse enough group. And then what this committee does is, you know, they look at our practices, they look at our policies, and really, you know, advise if they think there's some areas of improvement that we can do.
Hmm.
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay.
I think what would be really helpful, and again, it goes back to kind of that paragraph we spent like 2 minutes on it and it was so good. In the growth from 18 to present
Mhm.
and understanding like, where are we? Like, where are we on the attendance? Because we're assuming, I'll defer to the experts, that there is correlation between attendance and graduation rates.
There is.
Like, the other ones that were listed on there, I'm not sure if those were directly correlated or not, but that we know, right? Like, that's just a fact. But, right? I don't know. That's
Sure.
okay.
That is true.
That's true.
There's a lot
Period.
of research
Yeah,
around
There's
that.
a lot of research around that. So I love that. Can we understand where we're at now and why? And then I wanna make sure that as we talk about it, as we go into another fiscal year planning cycle, that we're looking at all of those pieces to it. We're allocating resources, time, people, money, or we're not. And we're gonna say like, no, we really don't have money to do this, even though we know it would move the needle this way. Like, I wanna be very deliberate in that and have an open dialogue, but I don't think we can do that. I can't do that without knowing where we're presently at, and it sounds like you have the analytics and the information available
Yes.
to present out on that.
Absolutely, and Jason, if you look at the pages after my proposed goals, um. What you see, oh, I guess we don't have those in there. What the other board members can attest to is that quarterly, I give you an update on where I am in meeting these goals. And that, in addition to the evaluation process you use is where you get a lot of that data.
Yeah, she does a really good job of keeping us updated and has a sheet that she shares with where we are with each goal.
And I think, you know, like if we talk about attendance, I mean, really being able to share that information with our whole community. Because one of the things we talked about at our retreat was, it's really important for a parent to know how many days their student has missed. Because it's almost always more days than they think.
Yeah.
And, that, sometimes parents will think, okay, they were sick in this month and they were sick here and, thinking of isolated incidents. But when you look at all the days that a student is missed though, and you say, okay, this is the equivalent of a month of school.
Right.
That they've missed. So that kind of information, I think, is really important
100%.
to provide to
Well,
folks.
and teasing the threads out of that is sometimes really difficult because economics plays so much a
Yeah.
role in it. If you're gone because you're taking a trip to Europe
Yeah.
with your family, probably doesn't affect your graduation.
Mhm.
If you're gone because you've got to stay home and watch your little brother and sister, because economically, that's the only way mom and dad can work. Suddenly
Right.
they're different. There's different reasons and there's different outcomes for some kinds of attendance. I always hated the old perfect attendance award because,
Right.
the kid that stayed home because they were legitimately sick doesn't get an award. And yet they should get an award for not coming and making everybody else sick.
Yeah, and attendance is a tricky one because you talk to 500 different people and they've got 500 different reasons, why they're
Yeah.
not coming to school. So it's a tricky one, but we can see trends
Mhm.
and, we need to make sure our instruction is dynamic and interesting, so kids want to be here.
Yeah.
We need to make sure that they can access that and then we need to just try to remove as many barriers as we can for them not being here.
Yeah, and I think that it's our job, it's the community's job to get them in the door. It's your job to educate them, to graduate,
Yeah.
right? Like that's that shared effort that I think if you had one goal on there, just put that one on there. There's nothing else. Like, that's it. Just graduate them and then we'll do all those other things.
We gotta get them in.
But I can't. We have to show gaps. We have to show
We
that
do.
if we had infinite resources, here's what we would be doing. And since we don't, here's what we are doing. And then advocate accordingly for those additional resources.
Yep.
That's it.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, if we had all the money in the world, we could assign one adult to each child and make sure and pick them up from school every day. I mean, it's true, right?
That 10-star experience.
Right,
What does that
but
look
we're
like?
not gonna do that, so.
Yeah,
that
and the
community
good,
liaison,
right, the good news is that we have a lot of staff in place that we didn't have 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Because of our grant funding and that's what our student success TOSAs are doing, is they're reaching out to individual families. And our liaisons and our interventionists and all of that, so we have low class sizes, so we have a lot of things in place. Now it's really digging into the data and seeing, what are the groups that this is not working for.
Right, 100%.
And what do you do with those?
those
Yes.
groups.
If you can't change that they aren't here regularly,
Mhm.
then how do you help them pick up the pieces? Because those are the dropouts. Those are the ones that don't graduate because they miss enough that they show up and they're behind the class. And they
Yeah,
don't
they
fit, they can't be successful, they don't test well, and so they say, I'm done. And they give up on it.
And
And they aren't necessarily students that have low achievement ability. They just aren't there often enough.
Right.
So if they simply can't be there, then how do we pick that up so that they can still come in where they left off, earn credit and keep moving?
There's also the handful of students that go against the graduation rate that they leave school for, maybe they just moved or whatever, but they don't report back that they've enrolled somewhere else.
Yes.
And so they're considered a dropout.
Yeah,
And if you don't get 5 of those coming from Seaside, that's
that's a big
actually.
deal. It moves the needle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100 kids,
Yeah.
Skews
And they're-
data
it does, it
is
does.
Oh,
And
well,
it-
shine it on
Count
that
it
table.
against it, because you just don't, and if it's a kid that went back to Mexico or whatever, and they're doing fine, it's still considered a dropout.
or
Yeah,
got deported.
Yep.
Well, Susan, I
That'll
think
be
your
a
goals
problem.
are going to be a challenge for you this year, especially number 2. I mean, I think you have it correctly worded, to be successful, but it's gonna be a challenge, I think. That
It is
number
gonna be a
two is gonna be a
challenge.
real
Yeah.
challenge.
Yeah.
So,
But I think it's the important work to do. We
Yep.
gotta,
Yeah, I gotta
yeah,
get them.
and we're gonna support you throughout all that work. So I'm looking at this like, ooh, God. That's one that it has to be done.
yeah, and it'll really
So,
be a group effort with
yeah.
all the leadership team.
Yep.
And all of the other staff as well, because they all, you know, the classroom teacher is the biggest influence.
But you also didn't say we're going to increase by 10%. You said to develop a plan and implement a plan. So I think that's a good goal.
Yeah.
Develop something.
So
to
we're
implement.
gonna see progress in it,
Yeah.
and we're, and
And it's a multi-year goal.
I was gonna say, this is going to be,
Yeah.
and we're gonna see it, so this year's freshmen that are incoming, we're gonna see if this works. So it's like, we're gonna see in the next 4 years if our graduation rate has, gone to where we want it, and, there's all these unforeseen circumstances that could happen, but
But we need to be really intentional about it.
yep. I like.
Well, I'd like to know if it's too late for them, right? Like, I think Susan, like, to be very clear, because I do like those, when I look at this, and again, being there for 10 seconds. If you were gonna chart out, look, if we're at 76% now, absolute ceiling, best case scenario, because of weird things, is 90%. We are not gonna, that is not gonna be a linear growth. That is going to be a slow growth with some acceleration near the end, and then it would top off if you charted that over the next 4 years. That, I think, is something that we can be very honest with, to know that, no, actually, we expect it to dip, and it's because we didn't invest in this next class, missed because of whatever, right? We know that they're already behind, and so we actually expect it to go down next year. The year after that, we expect it to go back up, but like, I don't know enough about it. I think you obviously have the experience to do those analytics, to understand those analytics and present out on those analytics, and then to also say, like, this is what I would need to do to correct that. Or I think that this is even how much of that is too late for the freshmen? How much of this is like, no, this is a 10-year strategy that we have been working on. You're gonna see it pay off a little bit, but the real inflection point comes in 5 years from now, because of programs that we put in place 5 years ago.
Oh, yeah, it starts in preschool. I mean,
Right.
you know, it's always so interesting, you remember from college, the bell curve, our biggest attendance problems are at kinder and seniors. We-
Sure. Yeah,
And
absolutely.
and a lot of it with the kinders is because, they're just learning how to go to school.
Yeah.
And they get sick more,
Yeah,
but
of
there's,
course.
like you
Yeah.
said, there's 100
Yeah,
different
for
reasons,
sure.
but you do, you see, especially kids who've attended preschool that are used to coming to school, but we have a lot of kids who have not attended preschool. So, yeah, I think, it is definitely gonna be a multi-year process, and like you said, graduation and setting those good habits starts in preschool.
Always hard, but for me, it's always hard to think like, well, yes, it's gonna take 5 years, but what about these poor kids?
Right.
Between next year and
Exactly.
we still gotta try to get them here too.
Well, we know, our class that we just shook their hands in June, I mean, that was our first graduating class that had been in the building for 4 years.
It's true.
What is it that when the denominator starts, is in who enters freshman year? That's your denominator in that percentage? How does that work?
Yes,
Yeah.
it starts the number freshman year to when they graduate, yeah.
Yep.
Well, and another
So
piece, I
again,
don't know if this is still
it's-
true.
Yeah,
Used
in
to
and out,
be, we
in and
had
out,
one of the
right,
highest
right,
rates
plus
of
minus,
people moving in and out
Mhm.
in the state. I know we don't qualify for migrant, which is ridiculous. I don't know if you're aware of that, but do we still have that?
We still have fairly high mobility.
At one time, we were one of the top for people moving in and out.
Mhm.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
No.
so it was really hard.
No, migrant is different.
It is
Students
different,
that,
yeah.
There's just a lot of kids.
students that are, we call it mobility rate, what's our mobility
Yeah.
rate for our students? Overall, I mean, from other districts that I work in, we have a lot more kids here who stay their whole, they start in kindergarten and they're here and they graduate here. But we do have, especially at the high school, have kids that, will come, they'll move here their senior year and they're credit deficient. And, so all of those factors play in.
Not that that's an excuse, but
No,
that's
but-
another piece of.
But it's another component of it.
But that doesn't get added to our numbers because they didn't start out as freshman year.
It does get
It
added.
does, it does.
Yeah.
Cause they get,
Oh.
they get off of the school they came from and added to ours.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh.
It's an interesting formula that this is.
And migrant education is a factor of families moving,
Mhm.
but also
To follow
working
work.
in certain industries.
Right.
Parents have to work
Yes.
in certain industries like agriculture or fishing, maybe.
Fisheries,
where they-
Basically
yeah.
seasonal.
Yeah.
Seasonal.
We don't have a lot of those industries
Tourism is
here,
kind of
so
that, but
that's
they don't
why our
recognize
migrant
it.
ed numbers are.
It really is.
Yes, yes. Okay, there we go.
Anything else? To come before our work session tonight?
So to summarize on Susan's,
Mhm.
then she'll bring this document back at the next meeting for adoption. Just like you guys will adopt your list.
So if anybody reads through this and has questions, then call Susan up.
Yeah, if you know, as you look at these performance indicators, if there's something you want me to add or, take off or whatever, just let me know. Yes, thank you, Leslie. A reminder before we end tonight is, we have a board superintendent work agreement that we developed a couple years ago. And because we have new board members, we need to resign that.
I would like to pass around the fresh copy as a place for signatures for all of you. Everyone, you all adopted this, the board adopted this. So if you want to change it at any point, you can add it to an agenda and discuss it in the meantime. It is the adopted board superintendent working agreement. You both have it in your binder.
Yes.
Of course.
So, let me get a pen and y'all can pass that around.
It's only your life. Just sign.
No.
Yeah.
It's really good.
That's it. Anything else?
All right.
Meeting adjourned. Do we have to go back to a regular meeting or
We
we're
do
just
not.
done? Meeting
No.
adjourned.